And so, yeah, there was just nothing left of them. So that's why I
But
can't
enough of all the
stay.
bodies.
That's why I can't stay for too long.
Oh.
The police have definitely found by now.
Oh shit.
Wait, what?
Uh.
Anyway,
Anyway, hey guys.
hello.
Well, it was nice knowing you guys, but I can't stay here if you're a criminal. No, but seriously.
Good evening, everybody.
So we are going back to our roots.
I probably could have come up with a better cut-in joke if I had thought to do so before.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Also, I'm looking at your thumbnail here. I don't understand the joke here.
It's the Mr. Incredible meme, and also, H.P. Lovecraft was afraid of air conditioners.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember now.
As well as something else that rhymes with conditioners.
It's true. Anyway. So, today we're going to be doing another Claire's Fury. It's been a minute since we've done this. And I thought, for my first one back, we would do something fun. And we would do Elder Gods, basically. You know, a bunch of different Lovecraftian monsters. Let me just open a new... tab and move this off the screen so that I can make sure it won't, dox me or anything. Yeah, why don't you guys introduce yourselves while I do that?
I'm Roman. I don't do a super amount online anymore. But you may find me in various places around the internet, pursuing whatever project interests me at the time.
Hello, I'm Shadowlight. I do a little bit of writing at shadowlight.neocities.org. Mostly guides I think my friends might find helpful, but that's about it for now.
Hooray. Also, I'm Koi Monster. I'm trying to get back to stuff online, which is why I'm here. I do art stuff. Mainly I'm trying to get into doing more dark fantasy related content, so yay.
Alright. So I've gotten it set up. Apparently Challenge has changed their UI, which is very annoying.
Do you want me to look at the comments if we get any, by the way?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. I'll also...
Okay, because, yeah, a lot of times you neglect the comments. I just feel, not to throw you under the bus, but...
No, I get it. That's fine.
I think a lot of small streamers, they can kind of fall by the wayside unless you have, your, sort of connected UIs and stuff up.
Yeah.
Oh, and I'll share the stream, by the way.
That's... Yeah, yeah. I was just about to do that as well.
I'll share on my server.
But yeah, also today, the fighters, as you guys saw a quick glimpse of, they are rare from the game Fear and Hunger.
Do you want to explain the sort of, I guess, the breakdown of what is precisely what's precisely happening here?
Oh, that's
because you briefly mentioned it, but it might deserve a, I guess, more formalized introduction.
Very, very good point. So, again, this is another Claire's Fury, but it's a very different one than what what is normally on here. Because of the vastness of all of the characters, I thought having it be like a traditional punch, kick fight type of thing probably would not be the best option. So instead, I got a great idea from people on the Fear and Hunger subreddit. And they suggested that instead of it being, a punch fight thing, it is who can fuck up various universes better, faster, and also fuck over the other more. If they can technically, kill the other, which is going to be very uncommon, but possible with a few of these, then they will still win. But that won't be the main criteria. They won't be trying to kill each other. They will just be trying to wreck shit.
Nice.
But yeah, so, do any of you want to introduce the characters, actually?
I guess you start, and, if any, names jump out.
Sounds good. Well, we'll do what we normally do, and we will explain what they do when they actually fight. But for now,
Also, I'm guessing since we're doing like a global scale thing, I don't know if we're going to be doing stages in a normal way.
So we're gonna be doing stages sort of the same, but we won't be having any events. Because one, I don't think there would be any events that would really affect the fight very much.
Yeah, sure.
And two, I think that with the size of, notably, the smallest location we have is like a country.
Consider their elder gods, yeah.
Yeah. So I also think that there will be enough going on and enough that we can talk about that we won't really need events anyway. But here we've got what we've here are the contestants right now. We got the Great Horned Serpent from Monument Mythos. We have Cthulhu from H.P. Lovecraft. We have Caliber from Enter the Gungeon. We have Adolia, the Faceless Memory, which is from a really interesting Shadows of the Forbidden Gods mod. Great game. I would highly recommend it if you like grand strategy games.
Nice.
We got the Cicada God from the SCP Mythos. We have the Things That We Fear from shit.
That's the term is the Things That We Fear, but that's actually a great fucking title for them. I love that.
I'll be real, I just forgot what I even said there.
We have the Things That We Fear collectively from the Magnus Archives.
Yeah. Then we got Rare from Fear and Hunger and Golb from Adventure Time. Which I think is the most one of these things is not like the other option we picked.
I assume that was the point.
Sort of. It's also just pretty unique. But anyway, so in the words of the guy that I think quit YouTube, let's just jump into it. I keep.
Oh, Bill's afraid to quit?
Oh no, he didn't. Sorry, I forgot who it was. So I just assumed he did because a bunch of
Scott and Matt Pat are the big ones.
Yeah.
At the moment.
Who quit of their own will anyway.
Oh no, not Matt Pat. Whatever will we do?
To be fair,
it was still a shame to see him go. I mean, yeah.
I never knew. I didn't want the final FNAF theory to be like this.
Apparently his last Deltarune theory was also his first good one. So.
Hey.
Really?
That's
well,
impressive.
At least he left on a high note.
But yeah, it makes sense because, especially for a lot of older YouTubers, YouTube as like a career can be kind of draining from what I've seen. So
yeah, if I ever like start doing YouTube in earnest, I never want to like start doing it as a job. It sounds awful. I don't know why people keep doing it.
Oh poop.
I was naive to think that I ever could.
I wanted to do YouTube as a job.
That's fair enough. Like, just everything I hear about it, it's like, oh, I had a huge passion project I want to do, but the first part bombed, so I guess I just can't. I don't know.
Like, I mean, I wanted to talk about that more, but like, let's get into this. We can talk about that later if you want.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe after.
Yeah.
Yeah, good idea.
So anyway, here, first fight is the Great Horned Serpent versus Cthulhu. Do any of you want to describe either of them, or will it all be left to me?
I can take a little bit of the Great Horned Serpent, but I don't have super vivid memory.
I've only heard of Cthulhu.
Hang on,
okay, so let's begin with our facts establishment. Okay, the Great Horned Serpent.
Also, I will DM you what I have written down for it.
Flibble is here.
Oh, also, yeah, hey Flibble.
Hello, Dr. Flibble. How are you?
Is the Great Horned... Okay, remind me. Is the Great Horned Serpent George Washington, or did he just morph into, like, a facsimile of it?
No, it is George Washington, from what I understand.
I think there's some implication that he's, if not embodying, but at least mimicking something that's a little more primal than him. But... either way, yeah, it is him. The size, entombed within the planet's core, stretching across, being the size of the continental 48 at least. Excuse me.
Oh, I was gonna say I thought it was infinite, but eh.
It's something
Yeah,
like
that's a
infinite,
Sonic
though.
character.
There's clearly some sense of how big he is, like from some of those maps we get.
Oh, probably then. Yeah.
Impossibly huge though.
Yeah.
Not not all that wide, surprisingly. About as wide as about as wide as Liberty Island, apparently.
That's right. Some people value girth, some people value length. It's a toss-up.
Yeah.
Also, Flibble says she's good, so yay.
The possesses some unclear ability to command other forces in that universe, implied, I believe, such as the trees with their dimension, sort of dimension warping electricity.
That's fair. I do know. I do also want to clarify. The trees are spikes coming from its body. That is
Really?
Apparently.
Oh, I remember those
I thought they
things.
had like an independent existence. Why are they in ancient Egypt?
Well, because there's like a bunch of weird time travel shit going on. According to, at least according to all the stuff I read, the way the Great Horned Serpent works, it has always existed, but it is still George Washington.
Okay, well that's even fuckier because George Washington was warped into that state by a tree.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's responsible for its own okay.
Yeah.
Those
Oh, it's a
paradoxical
serpent.
motherfuckers.
I'm beginning to like put together some symbolism here. Okay, that works.
Lord English called. He wants his idea back.
Also, this just reminds me, like, I don't mean
that joke.
Also, I don't mean to bring real life, or maybe not real life, current politics in this, but this just reminds me of, was it someone who made these animations where they turned, what's his name there, the PragerU asshole into an eldritch abomination?
Oh, that sounds about right.
Dennis Prager.
Yeah, Des Prager.
Yeah.
I just like the one YouTube poop where they make him say cock and ball torture.
What about the one that walks? Okay, I'm having like this has turned into me like freaking out because Monument Mythos is even weirder than I realized. What about the one that walks around? I don't know.
The one that walks around you with a little bit worse tone.
Oh, that one's I think like. From what
that one's a person, right?
One of them is a person. I think that one is like someone who was turned into a special tree by Wonderland, which we'll get to in a second.
Yeah, Wonderland, I think does exist, somewhat independent of the serpent.
Yes.
It's not reliant on it, at least.
Yes, that one, from what I understand, is accurate, but it is because it is a core part of the serpent and like its abilities and power and all that. I kind of had to add it.
Yeah, it's responsible for turning a decent chunk of the planet into a flesh monster and then into a replica of itself, into a replica of that part of the planet from before that. Actually, that was the whole world. Do we know why it did that? Like it was a bit before it hatched.
I think it just kind of happened. It might have something to do with like radiation. I know radiation works like weird in that universe.
Okay. Yeah. Whole thing. Either way, just general like ability to manipulate dimensions and cause transformations, though it's somewhat unclear how much will it has, I think.
Yeah, I think it is at least partially implied that it's just kind of in the nature of Wonderland that it just kind of transforms shit.
Okay, so either way though, sort of literally destroyed at least one dimension.
Yeah.
Also influenced the cultural landscape of the people who live there.
Yeah, that's something I was about to also mention, is that it can also sort of specifically the horned serpent can kind of control people's minds, and also I read this. I'll be completely honest. For research for this, watching all of Monument Mythos felt a little too intimidating. So there were
That's fair.
parts I just had to trust like the versus battle wiki on, or like the Monument Mythos wiki on as well. Uh, but apparently the Great Horned Serpent's goal is to actively escape, and that's why like people sacrifice people to the special trees.
Oh damn.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm willing to buy that.
Yeah. It's also mentioned that it can control electricity. I think it like messes with the series, but
Oh nice.
Yeah, it's got some level of electricity. I think that's like inherently tied to its like dimensionality, though.
Probably. Anyway, the point is, in summary, it is big. It can teleport people to this like weird, like hub of every universe.
Oh nice.
Yeah. And
it does this non-deliberately fairly often.
Yeah, that is actually a big thing we should also mention that I actually forgot to write down. It is, from what I understand, not actively malicious per se. Like it does want people to be put into the into Wonderland because it like that's how it gains power. But it's not like trying to escape or anything. It just kind of, wants to exist, I think.
Wow, you exist.
Anyway, again, can control...
Oh, Pumpkin's here. Cool.
Hey. Again, it can also control people's minds. It is absurdly big, and the more people are sacrificed, quote-unquote, to it, the bigger it gets. And if it gets big enough, it will burst from the earth, and turn everyone into corner folk, I guess.
Also, Pumpkin is saying that he'll always remember the floating Sphinx statue slowly approaching the earth. Oh no.
That's still funny.
Oh, I didn't see that.
This is great as the Suez Canal crab.
Oh yeah, that was Suez Canal crab. That was the best.
Two beings, which as far as I'm aware, we still cannot make sense of.
Yeah, there's a lot of again.
Monument Mythos. The Suez Canal crab is just an in-series parody of itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, though, point is, Great Horned Serpent, very big, can control electricity, can mind control people, and if it gets big enough, it will break out of the planet and turn everyone into corner folk.
Yes.
And we will count that
probably
as a
most
victory.
of probably kills most of them before it does that.
Yeah. And we're also going to count that as a victory. Is there anything else?
Cthulhu, I am not extremely inclined to trust the versus battle wiki in Cthulhu. I'm gonna be real.
That's why I didn't do that. I instead watched several videos sort of detailing its power, and sort of compared them. It does have one ability that I wasn't really sure if I wanted to add, because it's like
back, guys.
Oh, all right. Because that ability is kind of inherently contradictory.
Yes.
We're dealing with the incomprehensible. A lot of contradiction.
That's fair. Basically, it can turn people into what are known as dreamers, which can transcend, like, realities or something. But it's also specifically mentioned...
Dreamers, you say? So that's how he got so popular. Sorry, carry on. Bad joke.
It's fine, it's fine. It's also... The problem with that is it is directly mentioned that those dreamers can do certain things better than the Elder Gods. So, like...
okay, this sounds...
What things?
I don't know where you got that. I don't know where this came from, but it sounds like some weird shit.
Yeah.
The difficulty with Cthulhu is the original story... Well, the original story, The Call of Cthulhu, didn't have that much in it. It was certainly a presence.
He got owned by a boat.
Not so much an active one. A lot of this, well, being the most popular of Lovecraft's creations, a lot of his more direct powers and abilities were grafted on later.
Yeah.
Anyway, I would say he's quite big to get him out. We probably don't actually know what he looks like. Art representations or not. It's something of squid nature-ish.
Actually, apparently...
Giga Squidward.
apparently Lovecraft himself drew a image of what he thought Cthulhu looked like.
No, what he did was he made reference to some like art he was aware of at the time. It doesn't necessarily mean it's what the thing looked like per se.
Fan art in the 1920s.
Not fan art. It's like just art that was around.
Ah, okay.
That he just liked.
Just an existing piece.
Well,
do we know if the thing that gets hit by the boat is Cthulhu or some Cthulhu-associated being? I don't know.
My assumption with that is that it would be Cthulhu's like physical body, but it's not Cthulhu. You know, it's not Cthulhu himself. It's just its form on Earth, basically.
Okay, so so we know he can take a pretty fucking durable, if not indestructible, physical form. Mm-hmm. At least, maybe eventually indestructible.
Yeah, my guess is eventually it's indestructible, because as you said, it gets owned by a boat, apparently.
Widespread mental manipulation.
Yeah, so I was about to get to that. So the way that Lovecraft's universe works, there's like a ton of different layers of the universe that are all several universes large, or like all like infinitely large. Cthulhu exists in the like very last one, the like furthest away from anything, and it can interact with any being on the material plane, as I'll call it, which is, for context, a distance of like 4 or 5 infinities. It can also cast. It can also cast anything from the Necronomicon, which I couldn't find many.
Are these like TTRPG rules now?
Huh?
I don't know. Or like quoting from the TTRPG now. Whatever, because that sounds gamey to me, but I'm fine with that. I'm just asking.
I don't think so. That's just
the elder god of all gamers.
That is just sort of how the video I saw interpreted it, because again, it's because that is the size of every like realm in the Lovecraft mythos. And again, he can contact people from outside of it, so I don't know. Point is, he also can cast anything from the Necronomicon, which I couldn't really find many details on, unfortunately.
It's a whole bunch of shit, mostly. Yeah. Probably all stuff that's theoretically feasible for a human.
I'm back.
Yep.
Cost.
Back.
Hmm?
I have returned.
Yep. Anyway, let's see. It can also invade people's dreams. That's a big thing. That sort of goes into like the mind manipulation stuff, but
yeah.
You know, sorry, go ahead. I'll add my bit.
No.
Okay, sorry. I was going to say on the side, but before we start, I was joking saying that my sleeping schedule could be a stage.
I'm not going to that, don't worry.
Yeah, very small. Can either, he also has a dormant race of weird sea creatures under his thrall, possibly 2, depending on who you ask, and can presumably bring various sort of neutral entities within the mythos under his sway to varying degrees.
Yeah.
Also, Pumpkin was saying, surpass the gods with the heart thing is covering shoe, like
yeah, that one Call of Cthulhu video game revolves around like a big chunk of that has a dimensional shambler as an antagonist, which is not a being inherently associated with any entity, but could be associated with any of them.
Alright. That makes sense. It is also possible that the video I watched like was combining all of them, because he did say some stuff that was like, oh, this elder god can do this thing, so therefore this other elder god can also do that thing. Which
that works.
It's one part of power scaling I'm not a huge fan of, but
Yeah, I don't know if I like the idea that these are very like rigid categories.
Yeah.
But I'm fine. I'm fine with going with its assumptions.
Yeah, no, same.
Um,
It can also fly faster than light. That's also a very notable thing. It can gift other creatures power. Basically, that's like how I worded it. Is it can gift other creatures power that exceed its own. In reference to like the dreamer thing.
Seems rather.
Is that like that power within the
suspect
Dreamlands? Because that's a whole other thing. That realm kind of has its own
I think it's
set
taking
of parameters.
Well, no, because there are dreamers in like the physical world as well. So, it's a whole thing. Let's see. He can also summon Cthulhians, which are like mini Cthulhus, basically.
Yeah, I don't know if he can summon them. I think they're like an independent species that will do as he asks. But I think they do have like physical limitations, vaguely akin to humans, though they surpass humanity.
Yeah, no, that's fair. We will assume at the very least he can have them with them.
Yeah, that's what I meant. He has like a whole civilization of Cthulhians. I think there's some debate on the issue, but I think the deep ones may also trace themselves back to him, or at least some of them do.
Yeah, actually, that was a thing I was also going to mention. He can also turn people into deep ones.
Yeah, and so I think he broadly has the loyalty of at least a portion of them.
Yeah.
I think some of them trade. It depends on what you think Dagon is.
That's fair. Again, we will assume, for the sake of this, that he can turn people into deep ones that are, at the very least, somewhat indifferent, unless it starts using its power of like mind control on them. It's also something that I've been sort of skipping around my notes, which is why I'm sort of being a bit rambly. It is fucking gigantic. Like, apparently in one of the books, it is described that it can cause earthquakes just by snoring. So that's a big thing. It will also... It won't start, like, its physical body will be off the coast, like, you know, in the ocean, or in, like, the sea right next to the stage, if the stage is a country that, you know.
I see.
But yeah, that's, again, I was a bit rambly, but, anything I might have forgotten?
I think that sounds complete to me.
Oh, it can also manipulate the weather. That's something I forgot to mention. Anyway. Let's, if you guys think we're good, or if you guys want me to... Or if you guys want to mention something.
No, we can go to talking about it.
Okay. Well,
so...
First, we need to roll for a stage.
We do.
And the stage is number 45. Which is Lemuria.
It's actually quite fitting.
Yeah, actually, weirdly.
Go for the big C anyway.
Shit.
What was that?
Okay, so it's like a little bit below India, I guess. Okay.
Yeah, it's a bit below India. The idea is it was a land bridge between India and Australia.
Oh yeah.
Which is why their sort of animal kingdoms are so similar. But also, it has, like, a bunch of weird shit in it, including, I think, lizard people. It's, again, Lemuria is, like, Atlantis, but, like, on crack, so...
The cooler Atlantis.
Exactly. Yeah, it's got lizard people, it's got, like, a bunch of... like middle stage evolution creatures.
Oh, nice.
So yeah.
You think they built monuments there?
Yeah, you'd think.
You think
Okay.
that the MYTHOS
We'll assume they are all serpent
monuments?
adjacent then.
I shall allow you guys to have the floor.
I don't know. Claire, you're kind of the thought leader on this one. I'm interested in what your initial take is.
Well, my initial take is that there's not much like civilization on this particular island, which, I mean, aside from the
racist.
Aside from I guess the lizard people, but it's not like that many from what I understand. Like they haven't really been able to spread out to Australia or India. Even though they're also technically an advanced race, so it could really go either way. I think Cthulhu does have like some link to Lemuria in like the mythos, but I'm not entirely sure.
It's a lost underwater city would make sense.
I'm thinking that this might go to Cthulhu more than the Great Horned Serpent, because the problem with the Great Horned Serpent, the reason he's sort of weak in these smaller locations, he can't really do much if there's like no one going to the special tree areas.
Oh yeah, that's right.
There's not. Yeah.
That's true. He's kind of reactive in that way.
Yeah. There's not a whole lot happening, and ultimately, if there aren't like large, if these I guess if these lizard people, there aren't very many of them, they're not really going to be super concerned about the I guess gifts that it can provide to them. But then again, we're dealing with it because we know that special trees were a problem that had to be dealt with. But then again, I think the creatures independently associated with Cthulhu are perfectly capable of that. So
yeah, that's fair. Yeah, my initial thought is definitely Cthulhu, though. Still,
I'd agree.
As is mine.
I think that it suffers from being I think the Great Horned Serpent suffers from being an entity that is both sort of limited in intention and not capable of like spur of the moment reality warping like a couple of the others around here.
Exactly. Yeah, and in fact, I would even go as far as to describe in this case. In this kind of stage, Cthulhu is just like a better version of the Great Horned Serpent in this kind of stage.
That's fair.
So yeah,
let's go.
That is a win for Cthulhu. Next up is Caliber versus Adolia the Faceless Memory.
You're gonna need to take the helm completely here.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I'm a little out of my depth with this one.
Be sensitive about how much you talk about fear and hunger, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
Neither of these are Fear and Hunger, don't worry. So.
Oh, I got mistaken.
No, Rare is the Fear and Hunger one. Caliber is from Enter the Gungeon. That is not Caliber, that is just a guy. Hang on. There we go. Alright, this is what we know
Caliber
Caliber
look at the
looks
stream?
like.
Sorry, can you link it? Because I want to see some pictures.
Ooh, hang on. Yeah, alright, here is the photo that I have used as for Caliber. This is specifically a stone statue that takes the form of Caliber.
Looks very robotic.
Kind of. So it is meant to be like a bullet that's also Kali from Hindu mythology.
That one.
Yeah.
Wait, who's Kali again?
That's a bullet. Warrior goddess, isn't it? The one that's got like 8 arms.
One at a time.
Carries around 7 heads.
Guys, one at a time. Koi, what did you have to say?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I said I don't remember what goddess that was or whatever.
Oh, that's alright. That's the Hindu goddess of war.
Okay, cool.
Roman, what did you have to say?
I literally just was telling Shadow White they all have a bunch of hands.
Oh yeah.
That's true, actually.
That's fair. And then
hands for days.
Who does? Yeah, they're pretty handy.
Indeed. So in so many thumb wars.
And
Pumpkin says goddess of death and war, and the damn heart is covering the
This is-
rest of it.
Once again, I am complaining about YouTube's user interface decisions. This little heart emoji they've got in the bottom right corner of the stream chat makes reading the most recent message a pain in the neck.
That
Shame on you, Susan. Or whomever's
Susan
in
doesn't work
charge
for them
now, I
anymore.
think, of a
She's-
Yeah,
toss.
some like fucking crypto bro now, I think. I don't
Alright.
know.
Yeah.
Anyway, that is Kali's whole thing. Caliber is the goddess of bullets and guns. She
Okay.
she does have a physical body, and it is explicitly mentioned that she has 3 handguns, a bowl of presumably blood, a curved blade, and a skull. She can summon these things called gun reapers, which I will also send an image of, because they also look pretty cool.
Also, my brain just farted out that she had a bowl of oatmeal before you said blood.
That is a gun reaper. They have a scythe that is also a shotgun.
Oh, that is awesome. I love that.
Oh, that's sick.
You're so funny looking.
She can also summon this thing, which is like, I think he's called the Lord of the Jammed.
The jammed.
Yeah,
I get it.
Enter the Gungeon is full of puns, so be ready for puns with this one.
Hooray.
Yes.
That's like okay, that's not like a Ruby type thing. It's just a scythe with that's just a rifle with a scythe bayonet.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
exactly. Well, I mean, it's it is still pretty cool though, I would say. She also has an avatar, which is the known as the High Priest, which I keep having to hold off to post images, but this is important. The High Priest has a pistol for a head. And he can also just kind
very
of
cool.
He can also just kind of summon bullets. That's sort of the case with all of the Enter the Gungeon monsters, but with the High Priest, it's more of like an explicit ability.
Oh my god, that is awesome. I love that.
If someone sins by either,
Jeez, I'm sorry.
you're good. Don't worry.
Bless you again.
You.
Also, if someone sins either by using a like melee weapon or using one of her many artifacts, which I won't really go into because they're not that relevant, she can curse them. And if someone is cursed, that is when the fucking Lord of the Jammed shows up to fuck them over. It also causes like more traditional video game curse stuff, like, you know, it's harder to find certain loot, or they get less money, or whatever. I'm not sure how to translate that into this, so I'll just kind of ignore that aspect.
Alright, that's fine.
Let's see. Oh, she can also turn any object into a gun.
Awesome. Don't tell the government.
This includes, like, concepts that are vaguely gun... Like, she can turn the letter R into a gun because it's vaguely gun-shaped.
Hell yeah.
Oh, she can also turn any of her followers into the Jammed, which makes them just generally more powerful. They deal more damage, they're stronger, that sort of thing. Let's see. She can also she can interact with mortals and sort of make deals with them for certain artifacts and stuff like that. I think it's implied that if you are a worshipper of Caliber and use one of her artifacts, then you're fine, you're not going to get cursed. But, let's see.
Fair enough. It's a member's benefit.
Yeah, exactly. She can also transform any weapon into any other gun of her creation. So, like, let's say you have a Glock and you're pointing it at her. She can just turn that into, like, a bubble gun. Let's see. And actually, that's pretty much it. It is implied that she has, like, tentacles and stuff. And I think one of the item descriptions mentions that she can grab people from, like, the world and then just kind of eat them with her tentacles.
No.
but that's more implied. But yeah, I'll add it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Any questions?
No, I have thoughts, but I'll save them.
You'll
What about an
right?
umbrella gun?
Probably.
Yeah.
Also, Pumpkin says that would have been Kid Me's favorite weapon.
I don't know who that is. I'm sorry.
Pumpkin.
Oh, sorry. You're right. Well, I'm tired. All right, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Anyway, next character is probably the most out there one on the list.
Nice.
Adolia, the Faceless Memory. So, Adolia is a very interesting god. The way she works, I think it's implied that if anyone sees her, they have a chance of getting infected with a sort of mind virus that is also Adolia. Where...
Wait, what is she from?
A game called Shadows of the Forbidden Gods, but she's like a mod for that game.
Nice.
So again, anyone looks at her, they have a chance to be infected, and what it means to be infected is that slowly but surely, all of your memories are just replaced with Adolia.
Fun.
And if it progresses to a certain point, and all of your memories are replaced, you turn into another instance of Adolia. Now, this does have a few limitations, mainly just as, like, time progresses, she can do more with it. So, let's see. It can, I'm sorry, I'm quickly rereading what I have written down. If enough people in the population of, like, a city are infected, she can turn the city into an instance of Adolia as well.
Nice.
I see.
Do you have a visual for that?
Not real. It's... So, in-game, it's just, like, this image of her face that I will copy and paste, but, like, over the city. Because the game is a grand strategy, so it doesn't really need to be that graphically intensive.
Okay, I like how hard... I like trying to imagine that.
It's described that everything in the town, from its laws to its history to, like, its... everything written in the town becomes, like, a vector for the virus. And everyone in the town is one of the, like, evil Adolia instances. Which, notably, I also want to point out, they have fucking claw hands, and so they can probably deal a fair amount of damage just by, like, slashing at people. And also, speaking of her being able to do stuff like change laws and history and mythology, she can also just infect, like, concepts. This is when her power levels reached its peak, bear in mind.
Yeah.
But, like, so let's say you have either a strongly positive or a strongly negative opinion on war, for example. She can just kind of infect the concept of war, and then everyone with a strong like or a strong dislike of war become infected automatically.
Okay, does something need to happen?
Strong.
Is there some prerequisite for this? Because otherwise I think, what are the top 4 on winner?
It takes a very long time. I'm not quite sure how time works in the game. I think every, like, step is a month or something. So it'll take, theoretically, years for this to happen. Like, for her to be able to do this.
Okay, and if, someone were to, in that time, kill a significant number of the, sort of people that are being used as vectors for the process.
Then, presumably, she would be unable to infect anyone and would die.
Well, yeah, like, but, okay, say, she's transforming the concept of war through, 30,000 people who previously had strong concepts of war and now sort of all her, right?
Yeah, they're slowly becoming her, but yes.
Yeah, in my, sort of, love of, my gun god take up the sacred double barrel and get rid of that 15,000 of those. Would that hinder the process?
Yeah, probably. So it is also mentioned that people infected cannot be cured. So it's sort of like the flood in that sense, where like if even one person is left alive, then she still has a fair amount of power.
I know, but I'm just
yeah,
sort of.
But yeah, you could very easily kill the people infected, and then they would no longer be infected anymore because they're dead.
Right.
It is also mentioned that you can treat the disease if you know of it, which it's namely through I think the two ways are through alchemy or magic. Alchemy is just kind of science, so really, again, it's treatable if you're smart enough, but you can't fully cure it.
Okay.
It also, as you guys can see on stream, there's also this. If you're infected for long enough, she can make you just lose opinions you have. So, like, let's say, end relationships. So, let's say you're in love with someone. All of a sudden, you're infected, and one day you just forget about that person entirely.
Oh, that's sad.
A dark concept,
pretty
sure.
fucking rad, actually. I like it.
Hey, I told you, I picked this character for a reason. That being said, I think that's pretty much it. Again, to briefly recap, she can infect people who see her various instances, and they sort of have... The people infected are still, like, people, for the most part, until a few months later when they turn into an instance of Adolia. And later on, she can also infect whole towns, so that the town itself becomes an instance of her. And even later, she can infect concepts like war, or like, or torture, or elves. Is one of them.
Or pizza.
Yeah, theoretically it could be anything. I think those are just, like, the ones in the game for, like, gameplay purposes. But yeah.
Just watching Adolia eat a pizza.
Anyway, you guys, got any questions?
Question. Are we working on the assumption that, firearm and firearm-related concepts are under a certain level of protection here? Because they have their own patron who is fine.
Oh yeah, that's a good question.
I would say so, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Actually, what do you mean by that, actually? Like, what...
You know,
like,
guns,
if you think
shooting,
of a gun...
shooting at your enemies. Maybe not necessarily war, but fighting.
I would say, I would say so, then, yes. Just to make it more fair. Although, let's say they were to fight Cthulhu or something. Cthulhu could still enter their mind, and then Cthulhu could also get infected.
Oh darn, she can infect other gods, that's crazy.
I mean, I don't think there's a limit to who she can infect in game.
I think sort of, I don't know, I imagine that Cthulhu has, like, a completely different sort of mind and soul structure, so I don't know if I would agree.
We'll discuss it when, if and when it comes to it. But for now, let's roll for this... fuck. I keep getting this annoying glitch with OBS, where if I click off of Challenge and go to, like, another tab to roll the dice, my mouse disappears. So that's fun. Alright.
That's no good.
Level 35, or location 35, which is Planet Popstar from Kirby.
Nice.
Okay, so, I'm gonna assume that Kirby is unaccounted for, because otherwise they both lose. So...
I think Kirby's there, and he can interact, but he... You know.
No, that's not fair. It's not fair. He wins.
All these other squads have to sneak around in people's minds, and Kirby's here just, like, stuck.
That is fair. He would be completely immune to Adolia's thing, because I don't think there's anything going on up there.
It's like,
I think he's like Coffee Marshmallow all the way through.
Either way, so no, Caliber sounds like a very situational god, but also one that's able to fulfill their own prophecy a bit in that way.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. Yeah.
They have some. They landed on like a planet. They landed on like fucking planet Cocomelon though, so they've got some work to do.
Yeah, I was thinking that as well. Like, I mean, there are Kirby characters who do have guns.
It's true.
So we know that at the very least guns exist and can be used in this universe.
Yeah, they can be made to be used. I don't know. Sounds like it's a fun start. I don't think this matchup is as forgotten as some people think, because you have a sort of war god that seems to be well prepared seems like well suited to begin a crusade against another, but at the same time, I think that it might take too long in this case.
Possibly? Here's my other thing. Do we know how many Kirby enemies have enough thought to be infected by Adolia? Because
there's a civilization, like,
that's fair.
I'm sure they're at least sentient.
Yeah, I'd say if they're sentient, because I will say, I said there were no limitations earlier. I'm pretty sure you can't infect stuff like deer or like unicorns or anything like that. So, presumably if it's an animal, it's safe. But if it's a human or like a human-like creature, then infected.
They both seem very reliant on proxies though, so I don't know if that's a disadvantage to one. Although, actually, no, because Calvin doesn't need a vector, so...
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, it has its own avatar it can just place on the world, so... Although, so does Adolia, sort of. Like, she starts with one Adolia instance in the game. So...
Presumably, yeah.
I think I'll give her that. I think, I think that should constitute as an ability. So yeah,
It's probably Wispy Woods, the motherfucker.
It's Wispy Woods. Yeah, I'm actually really torn as to who pulls it out in the end.
This may be a tricky one.
Hang on, I'll post an image of Planet Popstar, see if maybe that helps.
I'm just given some of the people that are around, I don't know, I think that if it comes down to the end of it, I think the louder one ends up losing incidentally here. So I guess we give it to Adolia in that case.
That's fair. Yeah, I think I'm inclined to agree. Because the other thing with Adolia is that her deal is that she snowballs. The longer she's allowed to go to her own devices, the easier time she'll have. So, while I definitely think this matchup fails, near the beginning, considering what would have to happen, and, the amount of time it would take on both ends to really get started, yeah, I do agree that I think Adolia wins.
Yeah, no.
I don't know.
Mostly because I think that, someone comes along and probably beats Caliban incidentally.
Yeah, probably.
As the louder of the two.
Caliber has a physical form, from what I understand.
It does.
Yeah, I don't remember.
It does, but we don't see it. It does have an avatar, which is the High Priest.
Okay. Kirby could definitely whoop the High Priest.
That's not even the first instance. That's that's like a serpent's head. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hey. Then yeah, I'm letting you guys decide. My vote is for Adolia. I'll let you know.
I'm inclined to agree. I think I talked to you into it.
Adolia would be able to spread quicker.
Yeah. And Koi's muted, so guess Adolia wins. All right. These next two fighters. Sorry that took a minute, by the way. These next two fighters are the
Yeah,
Cicada
right.
God and the things that were fear.
Can I take up both of these?
Feel free. I'll send you what I have written down for the Cicada God.
Okay. You've got a bit to go here.
Yeah. You know, we're about halfway through the introductory phase. After this, it'll go significantly faster.
Alright, back. Sorry about that.
Okay, Cicada God can cause
Welcome
cicadas to burst from people's facial orifices, can manifest as a giant cicada, giving radiation poisoning to all who view it. Feeds in the belief and rituals of others. Manifests itself as an interpretation of those beliefs, so the theme of cicadas is always present. All of its actions heavily involve a horde of cicadas made of wood and glass, primarily targets other religious groups and orders, can affect the minds of religious individuals, and primarily does so to further its own worship. These rituals are insanely brutal. Yeah, crossing the stages of reality. But sound does not know much about the stages of reality. It's strange bug people, powerful exoskeletons. Media tried to burrow, living underground in a series of tunnels. God can also create anomalous avatars to infiltrate small religious ceremonies. I'm guessing you could probably do a lot more contextual cicada-themed stuff.
Yeah.
Big thing I would note. Okay, so I read that out pretty rapidly. It can manifest as a giant cicada. It can reality bend in various cicada-themed ways, usually sort of around various religious or cultural rituals.
Yeah.
It kind of conceptually attaches itself to those rituals and feeds on them while transforming them. And given enough time, it will sort of take shape in this world, radically altering it. If you can go into specifics, Claire, because you're more familiar, but I would say one thing is that I think there's kind of an implication that it's dumb.
Yeah,
Like it's doing this very animalistically.
I don't think it's dumb per se, more that it just does not understand humanity at all. It has no concept of human culture or anything like that. So it sees what it's doing as like perfectly normal and fine, but I think the initial SCP 3004 describes it as if it was watching a television with horrible reception.
And do you want to get into specific manifestations?
So I don't really know that many. I'll be real. I couldn't find very much on specific manifestations. The two I mentioned, which are the burrowing one that I forget the name of, and Cousin Johnny, are the two I could. Are the
Do you
two
want to
that I
get
could find.
okay? But do you want to like dig into them?
Oh, well, the burrowing one is pretty unique because it isn't attached exclusively to religion. It's more the idea of like self-success. So a crypto bro, for example, would be susceptible to it.
Just a random belief. It's a fucking miracle it hasn't attached to the fucking GameStop people yet.
True. It basically it's sort of like a mind control type thing where it just sort of like turns you into a disciple of the Cicada God. Essentially.
From what I understand, it sort of grafts itself onto concepts until it's interchangeable with them.
Yeah. That's I do agree with that explanation, yeah.
I mean, do you actually want to describe what happens in these instances, though? That's what I'm asking. I know you sent it to me, but I think you do better.
Hang on. I actually forgot what I even wrote down. Hang on. Oh, yeah. So, I'm not going to describe what happens in the rituals, because...
Yeah, they're, people don't get taken off YouTube for it, but at the same time... we didn't warn anybody that was coming.
Exactly. Just look it up for yourselves. It's really fucked up, because SCP writers...
sort of beware of content warnings.
Yeah, beware. There generally is a lot of violence and gore, specifically towards people of the age under 18. So, nothing like sexual, but just violent. Let's see. But yeah, so also you mentioned that it sort of attaches itself to concepts and sort of makes it so that the two are interchangeable. It also is implied in that particular story that it also kind of changes their bodies a little bit until eventually they turn into like weird bug human hybrids that dig tunnels underground for nefarious purposes.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
I don't
could
know.
make
Like the way
a
I've
very
always read, the way
naughty
I've always
joke
read
there.
the Imago associated stories was that isn't like okay. I'm this is me. This is definitely me like pulling a bit from how I understand the thing that we're about to talk about. But I don't know if it's like there's any rules about how it always works. It's just something of a cicada-y nature will happen
That's
in
fair.
there.
Um,
And sometimes that's the people transforming. Sometimes it's not.
yeah. All right, that makes sense. Then there's also Cousin Johnny. Cousin Johnny's like really weird. I don't know if I'd describe him as like an avatar or just like a consistent element that happens.
Oh, I think I've heard this one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fairly infamous.
Yeah, I'd say it is the most infamous part of the Cicada God lore. I actually, I think I'll let you take the Cousin Johnny stuff, just because I really don't know what to, you know.
I mean, he shows up at do they even need to be like religious ceremonies in some way?
I
Just
think
like family events, isn't it?
I think it's
Stuff like that, yeah.
specifically weddings, baptisms, and funerals. I think those are the
Okay,
three
so
specific
yes,
ones.
kind of. The whole basically everyone sort of recognizes him, even though they like aren't actually familiar with this person. They think he's supposed to be there, and the basically various horrific like various sort of horrific things will like now happen as part of the ceremony with the people there thinking it's normal. Generally, Johnny doesn't actually take part in them. He's just kind of on. They just happen because he's there.
Yeah, basically.
That's how I understand it.
Yeah,
Because it's an SCP. I've heard of this one before, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
This whole thing is SCP Mythos stuff.
Oh, okay.
I will say, I think it is explicitly mentioned that people don't like treat him normally unless they are informed previously of Cousin Johnny's whole like deal.
Wait, unless like I thought that
Yeah.
you don't need to know about him for him to affect you. Yeah.
I
I
thought.
don't think so. I think are you mixing that up? Is it like if you know, then you like recognize what's happening?
Yeah, that might be it. That like.
Okay, that sounds right. I actually don't know. That just makes more sense to me because otherwise it would seem to me like there's not a whole lot of threat there.
It's either if you hear about like Cousin Johnny's whole deal and you hear about like, oh, this thing isn't actually like part of the family. He's like some weird monster that shows up. Then you like recognize what's going on as fucked up. I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, there's a lot of like cannibalism and various horrific things going on there.
Yeah, a lot of cannibalism, a lot of like long-term effects too that we won't get into because.
Yeah. Anyways, is that all we want to talk about this thing? Because I'm gonna need to spend a bit here.
Sure.
Okay, so what I have labeled as the things that we fear from the Magnus Archives. To make 200 episodes of Lord Story short, this is one being that is fear. It is sort of fear embodied, not human and animal, anything that can fear, theoretically, besides maybe other beings on its level, which wouldn't be in the whole feeding pool, really. It manifests.
Also,
it's sort of manifested.
I'm sorry for cutting you off. I just wanted to ask, what should I look up for like an image of it?
Let me fucking get one.
Alright. Sounds good. I just wanted to show to the stream.
If you want to put an art credit, this is apparently by one Sunny Clockwork.
Ooh. Oh, I know them. They do a lot of SCP stuff.
Nice.
And it's very familiar. Oh yes, I recognize this art stuff.
So yeah, oh yeah, now that you mention it, they so they're all one being. They're all complete. They're all super interlinked. But as human fear became more complex, it sort of became so nuanced that it split into multiple aspects of itself that pull in different directions and almost seem to compete with each other at times. Though there's also so much overlap that this system of categorization is sometimes stated to be flawed or even arbitrary. The way that they work is, under normal circumstances, they will sort of... you can also put the color wheel thing I put up, though. Like, that's not a rule. They don't. That's not how they overlap. They all overlap.
Yeah, but it's a good demonstration of like the various.
Yeah, that's like what they are, and they will sort of manifest as little events, objects, monsters, generally with like the, I guess, scope of like a ghost story, so affecting one person to like a town at a time, doing strange things. And sometimes they will sort of empower a person who is of the right disposition. So for the lonely, that's someone who, likes to be alone, and they'll kind of shape their mind. Like, it'll go from I want to be alone to I wish this city was empty.
Ooh.
But for the most part, it's like it doesn't actually like mind control you. It just kind of gives you the ability to do things you might have done if you had that power anyway. Or for like the eye, it's like people who constantly want to know. They'll find people like that and sort of give them power, but like alter their sort of being, so they have to feed them fear or they will begin physically wasting away.
Ooh.
And within the limited scope of like of avatars, which are people, monsters, objects, little events, they can basically do anything that makes someone afraid in their particular way, but they can only do it for the purposes of like creating that fear. It's not like oh, I need some fire, let's throw some fire at them to like stop them, whatever they're doing. So they basically have theoretically infinite but relatively limited reality bending.
Sorry, I just found something funny. I looked up Magnus Archives 14 Fears, and I found a fucking Mister's image.
Show us.
Hang on.
Oh, that.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
I just thought that was funny.
Yeah, fucking Mister, man.
So like, let me to give an example, the corruption, or as it's called there, the hive, it can do anything that is gross and involves bugs, and it tends to latch on to like toxic relationships and things. But again, it's all very limited. It's all super contextual. Now, the entities are patently stupid. They don't necessarily want anything besides fear. Although often the people they bring in, their avatars, think they want more and will attach all these religious rituals to them. That's all like them like flailing around and trying to figure it out, though.
So what?
It's not.
So what you're saying is they are hard countered by the cicada god.
Kind of. But you see.
Uh-oh.
Kind of. It's not really clear if they want anything, but various desires will be projected onto them by their avatars.
Okay.
This will often include like elaborate rituals meant to bring them fully into the world. These are all doomed to fail unless you figure out the secret, which only one of them has, which only one person ever has, which is that they're all one being. So you can't just bring one in. You need to bring them all in, and you can put your favorite as like the one that's kind of ruling over them if you want. Only one person has ever figured this out, and when they did, the world was transformed into a bunch of these little like pockets dedicated to, taking some people and just constantly fear harvesting. Like there's like an apartment building that is always on varying degrees of fire, and like people's understandings of reality were varying degrees of distorted. So they thought there's like one instance where this person thought that the entirety of existence was the like ground he was writhing through. And this happens to varying degrees, but the world was all like, but they don't necessarily have a physical form. They just kind of are passively influencing everything around them if they do come through.
All right.
Last thing to note is that last couple things to note is that they will always exist. They will always exist in some form so long as something is afraid. And finally, I said that they're stupid. There are two exceptions. One is the End, the fear of death, who kind of doesn't want anything anyway, so it doesn't matter. And the Web, who which is self-aware, but can only really and sort of is able to scheme and is able to direct the others to a degree, but not entirely. So it is able to understand when its sort of whole existence is threatened, but it must still obey its nature ultimately.
Right.
And it's the one that's all about manipulation, so it is able to affect the world in some ways.
All right, that makes sense.
Sounds like an interesting series.
Yeah.
I am very interested to see how these two battle each other now.
Yeah.
Could you give a very brief recap just so I can make sure I wrote everything down?
One being that is the embodiment of all fear, has divided into 14 to 15, depending on who you ask, beings, parts of its being that are kind of separate, kind of the same. Sometimes clash with each other, sometimes work together. They influence the world by either causing little supernatural encounters on the level of a creepypasta, or they bestow power on people to do it. These people sometimes want to bring them into the world, want to bring the one that blessed them into the world. This doesn't work unless you figure out that you have to bring them all in, which only one has ever done. Only one person has ever done. When they're in the world, they don't have a physical form. They will simply alter it into sort of landscapes where fear is constantly harvested.
Right.
They are all stupid, so they don't actually want anything besides just fear in general, except for the End, which is the fear of death, and doesn't want anything. And the Web, which can scheme and manipulate them in certain directions. And so one thing I forgot to mention is that I did say they will exist as long as there is fear. This is true. However, in this world where they are in control, the lands that are ruled by the End will slowly be killing people. The others won't allow you to die. But the End will slowly be killing people and drawing other people in and then killing them. So eventually they will just starve themselves. And the End and the Web are both aware of this. The End doesn't care. The Web will actively try to prevent it.
All right. That's cool. I'll be real. It's kind of unlikely that they get summoned unless they're in a couple very specific worlds. But
yeah, so I will say, I'm just saying, being summoned, that is a triumph for them. It will eventually kill them.
Yeah, but we'll count it as a win because at the end of the day, that effectively defeats the opponent anyway.
Yeah.
Even if it's only short term. But, alright, and then, the locale this time... 1 second. Shall be...
I'm just frustrated I have nothing to add. I'm sorry, guys.
It's okay.
You're fine. Hey, you...
If there's one, like, just like you watching chat has been plenty, really.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Also...
Although, that's not to say don't comment if you want to. Like,
Oh, alright. Well, I'm just looking at things on the side here, but I'll jump in if you guys want.
Sounds good. Yeah,
whenever you feel like you can.
Yeah,
whatever.
We're streaming this. You're, you know, you are welcome to pop in, you know, and talk about whatever you want, whenever.
Okey-dokey. Well, that's related, obviously.
Yeah. Anyway, so we rolled stage number 32, which is Krypton.
Ooh.
Superman.
Yeah, the Superman planet.
At least I'm slightly familiar with that. Only slightly, though.
Do we know much about, like, the Kryptonian religion?
Do they have one? Were they like an uber rationalist?
Mention that I know diddly squat about Superman. Other than
I don't know.
Powers.
I guess I always conceptualized them as like uber rationalists, but even then, I would argue that like, as shit like Rocco's Basilisk proves, that requires you to make a number of assumptions that are probably still strong enough for the Cicada God to latch onto.
I just looked it up. They do have a religion. It's called Raoism.
I'm not okay. Now that I'm saying it, I'm not surprised. Of course, like if they could have religion, someone's given them one.
It seems to be like a weird mix of Christianity and like the Greek pantheon.
Huh.
But also it includes Nightwing.
Nightwing?
We're
Imagine that. An entire planet that loves dick.
Of course it does. Like, of course it's full of weird, stupid bullshit.
Oh, they're dragons. Nightwing and Flamebird. Anyway, sorry. I got distracted by Superman. So yeah, I think the Cicada God could definitely latch on to that.
Wherever people are afraid. So.
And, are we assuming this is, like, soon before the meteor shows up?
It's probably, I didn't even think we were going to factor that in. I thought it was just sort of Krypton in abstract.
That's fair. Well, yeah. I guess, yeah, that's fair. Well, so in the, in at least the, animated series, and I think even the comics, it was, at the very least, confirmed that there were a lot of, like, that there's a lot of weird shit going on with, like, the Kryptonian government. So.
Because the government is always just completely normal.
Yeah, so, I really do not... I have no idea how to initiate this particular one, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if, given what, like, little I know of Krypton, I don't know if they're, like, a super religious people.
It is explicitly mentioned, according to the Superman wiki, most Kryptonians are believed to have some degree of belief in Raoism. Even Superman, exhibited some Raoist habits.
Never been there, dude. Whatever, I don't know.
Well, in that case, that might mean that this is, like, a religion that, like, you're born with, or something?
It's kind of weird.
That's, yeah, okay.
Left Krypton before it blew up at a very young age.
Like, sort of active consciousness age. But anyway, sure.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know. Like, that runs deep.
That definitely gives the Cicada God an advantage, I think. If we're...
Probably.
Again, if we're assuming it is a inherent religion that you're born with.
I don't know. I think as I said, I think that, like, rationalism as a philosophy still has stuff that it could latch onto, but I think that it would still put them at a better place to dispose of ideas in a like very practical way.
Yeah, that's
but
fair.
that's not what we're dealing. That's not what we're dealing with here. So
Yeah. I don't know. Here's the thing. The things that we're fear are, I assume they're like a big part of their horror is like inevitability. Like no matter what, someone's gonna fear something.
yeah,
So
someone will be afraid of something, but at the same time, that doesn't guarantee that you'll be sort of preyed upon. It's like it describes like they sort of snap at people at the edges who drift into like they snap. As I said, just kind of snap people at the edges. So like maybe 0.0 outside of the environment of everyone being put in the fear factory farm, of course, there's probably like 0.01% of people have had like a very earnest encounter with one of these manifestations.
alright, that makes sense in that case. Alright. Here's the thing. This I think we got really bad luck because we got two very abstract gods, like the only two very abstract gods fighting each other in this case. So it's very hard to calculate who would cause more damage and destruction and all that.
I will say that I'll say like if we're just trying to calculate that, I will say damage and destruction of fear tends to be low momentarily. It's possible that like a full manifestation of that 15th one extinction, which is still not fully formed and never quite gets there in the series. It's like speculated by some that would involve an extinction, but never confirmed. So it's like constant. If we're talking about damage, we're talking about a relatively low but sort of constant passive amount of it in terms of we're talking about fear.
That's fair. And then the Cicada God is sort of the reverse of that, where it is giant displays of death. Well, maybe not death and destruction, but more like horror, but fairly spread out in terms of like time. And like more sort of sporadic. That being said, I do also think that what the Cicada God does, which again we didn't detail because it's disgusting, but look it up if you're brave.
Disgusting.
I think.
I'm back. What did I miss?
Again, we were talking about the Cicada God and the things that we're feared. Anyway.
Okay.
Again, the Cicada God, their thing I think is very horrifying as well, which might sort of act as a vector for the things that we're fear.
Yeah, they like. Okay, so actually, you know what? I'm gonna make a big argument for my guy winning here.
Okay.
If Cicada God like transforms the world, it's probably not. It's gonna be like fucked up from a human perspective, but I don't think it's gonna be like fatal to the world. And I don't think whatever comes at the end wouldn't then be afraid. It's possible that this whole chart would like reshape itself into some completely different set of values, but I think much would remain the same. I think it would still exist and still be kind of doing what it does.
Yeah, I think I'm inclined to agree, which in a sense sort of means that the Cicada God kind of can't win in this.
Yeah, I guess.
Tricky matchup.
Yeah. I know. Would you consider that like transformation to be like enough of a moment that, because we're not counting every bit of fear it inspires towards it, just the ones that things it manifests directly cause. So
I think even then, just the process of the Cicada God doing its like normal thing, it has no perspective of what is on Krypton. It has no perspective of the culture. It really just knows the rituals, and that's kind of it. But even then, just the act of it doing, like, manipulating these rituals, it will cause more fear, specifically in the bug section, which I think is the corruption?
Corruption is bugs, disease, like the living things, sort of making a living things kind of using your body for their own. I call it external body horror. Body horror by way of something on the outside coming in.
That's fair. And yeah, actually, I'm thinking about it even more. Yeah, I think both the corruption, the flesh, and the web, all three of them, absolutely will just immediately benefit from everything the Cicada God can do. And especially with, like, if Cousin Johnny is a factor, if someone knows about, Cousin Johnny, that automatically just feeds off of the, especially if they know about the mental manipulation stuff.
I think it gets a fair bit of. I think the Spiral likes it a fair bit too. I don't want to advocate too hard for the one I suggested because it's like my pet thing, but
look, it's fine. I did that a ton on the old show. It was fine.
Okay. Yeah, because I do think they have I do think they have a fairly tough route to victory in most cases. Actually.
I think both of them absolutely would have a hard time sort of winning in a battle against each other. But at the same time, I do honestly, genuinely believe that the things that were fear would probably, like, win it out at the end. Just because, again, everything that the Cicada God can feasibly do will be good for a lot of these fears. Because it is also a very, like, fear-based entity.
Okay. I'll take the W. I'm gonna stop attaching myself to it. Like, that's a little...
Yeah, you have a parasocial relationship with the things that were fear.
Which is a good way to wake up one day as like an avatar, so I should stop.
I will say, Shadow or Koi, do either of you have any comment or?
I wish I did. I'm sorry.
I think that's fair.
Alright.
Okay.
Alright. These next two, first off, warning, Fear and Hunger spoilers.
One thing. I'm very sorry, lads, but something's come up and I'm going to have to leave a little earlier than I expected.
Oh,
that's okay. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me on. It's been a lot of fun. Have a good night.
No problem. Have a nice rest of your evening. Alright, well, the issue is, I have Rare and Golb are the two last ones. Neither of you have played Fear and Hunger.
No, I want to. I really want to.
You gifted me the second one, and I really gotta play that. Maybe later if you want to watch me play it.
I said it earlier. I'm down.
Okay.
So here's what I will do.
I've been kind of tiptoeing around it because I know I want to play it someday.
I mean, you could join us and experience it with the two of us after the stream.
Maybe.
Right. Okay. But first off, I want to say, me playing Fear and Hunger and, like, learning about the gods in that universe, absolutely inspired this, like, entire stream. That being said, alright, here's what I will do. I will say what this god does, but because it's the antagonist of the second game, I am not going to spoil any, like, lore about it. I'm just gonna sort of explain what it does, what it can do. So, and I also I will not show any images, because I am terrified of showing images of Fear and Hunger. Because that game has a whole lot of nudity in it, and that will get me banned.
Oh shit.
Anyway, though.
Oh, excuse me.
So, Rare. It is also known as the Moon God. it is the moon in this universe. It's like the moon with a face.
You take the moon and you take the sun, sorry.
Its main deal, it's the main thing that makes it powerful, is that it can cause this thing called moon scorching. Which is essentially where it, like, smites you. It either, like, slowly irradiates you, or it just smites you. And it slowly turns you into the thing that you are afraid of, like, the most afraid of becoming, basically. Or, like, the worst version of yourself.
Fun.
But it's, like, a weird monster-fied version of those, like, fears and concerns. It also, doing this drives the people insane. Aside from that... there's also you can also, there are, like, these circles in the game that I'm not going to explain that part, because it really doesn't matter at the end of the day. Because I don't think it really... All you need to know is it summons these things called Ronteals, which are big Venus flytrap-looking guys with scythes for arms. It can also create these things called Menebas, which are, like, weird tentacle monsters that can infect you with a parasite. It's implied that they are, like, literally just cloth sacks that it, like, corrupted.
Fun.
Similar to Cthulhu in this sense, if you look at it for too long, your brain will literally melt.
Fun.
It can also summon people from dreams to attack whoever it wants, and cause meteor showers. Anyway, that's kind of it. I wanted to just bluntly explain this one, because again, I don't want to spoil it for either of you.
Okay. That's, okay, so, general, mayhem, I see.
Yeah, but general mayhem,
the whole becoming worst thing, that's cool.
Yeah. No, I agree, I really like that aspect of Fear and Hunger in general. The next one is...
Reminds me a bit of the other thing I like, kind of.
Hey. That's fair. I did very much notice that the things that were Fear are very similar to Rare, come to think of it.
Yeah. I'll potentially get the chance to explain avatars further when something that has a little bit more physicality to it comes up, so I'm looking forward to that.
Sounds good. Alright, this next one is, the last character that we'll be explaining is Golb from Adventure Time.
I'm gonna need I'm gonna need a pick at least for a reminder.
You got it. Give me 1 second. I just clicked gold. Whoops. Gold. It's with a B. Who doesn't love dyslexia? I'm not gonna show a full image, because it's... Actually, I will. I kind of have to. But I'll quickly turn away. Hang on. Video... not videos, images. 1 sec. I'm sure it's fine, because there's no, like, actual nudity. It's just, like, you know. Bada boom. This is what it looks like.
Oh, this fucking guy, okay.
Yeah, this boy. This, like, weird giant baby thing.
I've seen this guy.
Yeah. So, it is weird. It is implied that it can just kind of go through, like, portals. Like, sort of on its own. Hang on. Let me read what I have written. As soon as it appears, the sort of area turns very dark and, like, stormy. Which implies that it can manipulate the weather. It can absorb people, including their abilities. It is telekinetic. It can, if you I think it's like if you touch its, like, tongue or something, then you it has, like, lasers, and if those lasers hit you, especially if you are in a group, it turns you into, like, a giant dog monster thing. And that giant dog monster thing, if it, like, bites you, then you turn into a different giant dog monster thing. Oh, sorry. I'm wrong. It's not lasers, it's giant hands. Let's see. Oh, it is, so also if it eats you, it starts breaking you down to your core elements. So what that means in Adventure Time universe, for example, is that if it eats you, it will nullify all magical, like, energy that you have. And presumably absorb it. Here's its big problem. It is weak to harmony. Because it is the god of, like, chaos. What does that mean? It means that in the show, they defeat him by singing in harmony. That is all. That was sort of a brief explanation. If either of you have any questions, you're welcome to...
I wouldn't think of that, so...
That's, yeah, I think that's more just because it's a kid's show, and so, you know.
Yeah, I know.
Alright, well... Koi's muted, so I shall roll the dice. Okay, I'm gonna roll again, because we're in the 30s again, hang on. Oh, okay, stage 50. It's the Spiral from Wizards 101.
Oh. Like the whole, like, multiplanar expanse?
Yes.
Okay.
It's number 50, it had to be a big one.
True. I don't even know what else there anymore. Way out of it.
There's a lot. There's Egypt, Lemuria.
How about that one? I know about,
Hang on. Oh, here we go. Yeah, here's,
I kind of want to, check the game out again, just to, like, see the full expansive stuff that's been added. But...
There's a lot. I don't even think this is
because
everything.
I remember, let's see. Okay, so Dragonspire Grizzleheim was the next one to be, like, newly added. There was the underwater one.
There's a lot.
There was the underwater one, then there was, like, the other wizard school, and then that was it for me. That was, like, when I stopped.
I never got membership for the game. I did look up a lot of these, though. I know that Wizard City is, like, Harry Potter. Crocotopia is Egypt. Marleybone is, like, Victorian London. Dragonspire is, like, the Dragon Zone.
It goes there, then it's, like, the Chinese one after that. I remember the base game progression.
Yeah. That one's, Mushu. I know
Mushu,
Grizzleheim is,
Mushu, Dragonspire, Grizzleheim was added a little bit later. Yeah. That was the first, like, new one, I think. No, wait, Dragonspire was released at some point. I don't know.
I think Dragonspire was the original ending.
It was.
Yeah. I know there's a spider zone. I know that there's, like, a mafia elephant zone.
What are they doing? Grizzlehelm was added at some point, and that was kind of self-contained. Yeah. But then they, what's the fucking underwater one?
I think that might be Celestia?
Might be, because that started, like, the new storyline.
I know Polaris is, like, the Viking zone.
Is Grizzlehelm not? I don't know.
I think they both are? We can re-roll also, because this actually is a little this is a little more complicated than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
I'll re-roll, actually. Whoops. Oh, no, it's not actually the Spiral. It's number 22! Which is the Wild West.
As you do.
Yeah. Much more self-contained.
Little bit
more feasible.
Little bit of Lovecraftian Western, I dig it.
Yeah. You know, I've wanted to play Deadlands, so... That being said, it does raise the... So, Golb is more of an immediate threat. Like, Rare is more of, like, a slow burn type of creature. That being said, I do absolutely, actually... So, the big problem with Golb is that he's big, but he's like a physical he is a purely physical creature. Like, he doesn't seem to have much control over stuff outside of, you know, the outside of like when he shows up and where he shows up.
Is he like as long as he's active, constantly moving around? Does he like go to chill from time to time?
I think it's the reverse of that. He's more like a tower in a tower defense, where he just sort of he sits around and does stuff.
Okay. I presume the implications of his existence are greater than the area around him, though. Like,
probably. I know that the context for him showing up is a bunch of witches wanting to absorb his power. So that might attribute to like something. Let's say that he can summon those hands pretty much wherever.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. That way, it's a little more like balanced and a little more like Elder God-y.
Got it.
But yeah, and,
I still don't necessarily weigh his chances super highly. I'm not gonna lie.
Neither do I. So here's the thing. These giant dog creatures are like the size of the treehouse in Adventure Time.
Okay, yeah, that's a fucking hell of a thing.
Yeah, they're very big and very like aggro destructive. Which is especially notable, I think.
Okay.
Meanwhile, Rare's stuff, it can be aggro, but he hasn't made anything that big. And,
okay. I think the Wild West doesn't exist in a vacuum exactly. I'm sure that they'd be able to fell some of these things. Do they have like a contagion effect? Of any kind?
The Moonscorch, you mean?
The dogs.
Yes. Again, if they like touch you with their tongue, then you get infected and then are either absorbed into them, or if they are big enough, they will split. They will like mitosis themselves into two.
Oh god. Am I gonna give it to this fucking guy?
Yeah, I think that Rare just got a bad matchup here.
Yeah, it's like... it's like just the fucking British.
It's... hey, what do you say? What you know, brains versus brawn, you know? I will say, Koi is still muted, which is a thing, but anyway. So it is just us two right now, so... Anyway.
Which is fine.
Yeah, it's fine. I do agree that I think Golb wins this, though, unfortunately. But I also definitely wanted Rare to win. But I guess I guess he could, like, Moonscorch one of the dogs, I guess.
So, does it have enough, like, conscious thought for that?
So... that goes into the lore stuff. I'm not sure if you want me to mention it.
Give me a fucking yes or no answer.
Yes, it is intelligent, it is conscience, yes.
Okay. So, like, is it a presumption that you will do what Rare wants if, Moonscorch is just do it to things on that, like, that it can presume as much?
Yes, but Rare doesn't really want anything specific, usually.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We're just like rating damage, though.
Yeah.
We're rating damage, destruction, sort of general level of chaos.
That's a lot
I don't know.
of
I'm inclined to give it to the fucking Adventure Time character, I think.
Honestly, same. Which kind of... I mean...
funny.
it kind of sucks, but honestly, it might be better because also Rare. I don't want to risk spoilers.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
given I've been trying to convince people to fucking watch Magnus forever, I probably shouldn't have said as much as I did, or listened to it rather.
It's fine. All right, so now we're out of the description zone. So now we're in losers round 1 with the Great Horned Serpent versus Caliber.
Talk about a fucking weird one. Okay.
And they're in the DC like Earth.
Okay. I'm not gonna lie. I think Caliber might have the most trouble dealing with a world full of with a lot of sort of generally powerful, pretty morally good characters. I think more than most.
I am inclined to agree, but I also think that the Great Horned Serpent is like more of a threat, and so the heroes would probably more focus on that.
Yeah, but like to what degree? Like, there's I think to a much greater extent there is only so much you can do about it.
I guess.
Like
that
you can't properly like destroy a tree.
Yeah, at least not
to
without
some
like
degree. You do to some degree, like if it like they can probably minimize damage if it does something. They probably gonna do it, however any given person feels about it.
That's fair. And yeah, I guess the world has ended in both Marvel and DC. And like most superheroes haven't really been able to do much about it except for I guess like Dr. Fate, but that's kind of cheating. But I think I would also give this one to the Great Horned Serpent, come to think of it. Because, like, here's the thing. I think this would very much be a, like, Caliber mainly helps the supervillains type thing.
Yeah, depends on how much it asks from them, I suppose.
Yeah.
Also, I really like the horned serpent's design.
Actually, okay, well, that's, like, causing conflict, though, so I don't know.
That is fair.
So,
and
maybe.
It's
weird.
I'm
thinking about it.
Come to think of it also, it's like weird gun ability could probably work very well with a lot of DC villains.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, okay, I'm beginning to see it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like, fuck, it could, just the in fact, come to think of it, just the stuff it could do with, like, the Joker alone, they probably wouldn't be, like, a perfectly good relationship, but just the stuff it could do with the Joker would be...
I'm sorry, Mr. President. You were, no pun intended, shafted.
Hey, what can I say? I'm very convincing sometimes. I think Caliber's main thing is the, like, gun ability, where it can turn anything into a gun. I think that is what will save it most of the time. Because its avatars, they're cool, but they're really just, like, guys with shotguns that follow you around. Alright, the next one is the Cicada God versus Rare.
Okay. This is a lot of your shit, so...
This one's gonna be weird, I think. They're in Drangleic. Huh.
Okay. No, so we're just dealing with, like... They're just kind of together doing a Cthulhu mythos, where, like, there's just, like, two of these fuckers kind of doing their thing.
Yeah. And here's the thing with the Dark Souls universe in general. It is also a very religion-centric, sort of universe.
True.
Like, I think that, the Cicada God would definitely latch on to, like, some of Gwyn's whole deal.
Yeah.
I still haven't played that series or read any of the comics.
That rip. But are there any Dark Souls comics?
There are.
Yeah,
They're not like... They're not canon. I don't even know if they're good.
Okay, but still. Like, I don't have I don't have the console that you'd play it on, so... And plus, it would take up way too much space on my computer, so...
Okay.
I don't think Dark Souls 1 is big. Or I don't know if I remastered.
It's like 11 gigabytes, I think.
Yeah, but that's a lot. I'd rather just get a separate console.
That's fair. But yeah, I'm sort of torn, because I also think that Rare could probably do some smiting.
Probably.
Might they?
Just a matter of, I guess, could it, sort of fundamentally sabotage, the belief systems of the world in a way that,
And I guess the thing with Moonscorching is it explicitly sort of drives you a little, like, insane. But if anything, in a universe like this, they would be driven to more, like, righteous fury.
Yeah.
So...
well, I guess I shouldn't think of it as sabotage again. I think, if you just assume that they'd both be more or less fine, kind of doing as they do, then, I'd probably still give it to the Cicada God on a somewhat slimmer margin.
Yeah, I think I'm inclined to agree, honestly. Yeah, because, like, I don't know, this would be a very self-contained type of thing. I think the creatures that Rare can create are definitely more powerful, but I do agree that I think the Cicada God would probably, in the end, come out the victor. Primarily for its, like, weird mind manipulation and sort of, stuff.
Yeah.
And because the creatures it creates are more explicitly on its side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, next up.
Next battle is Cthulhu versus Adolia. This was the thing I mentioned earlier.
Again, I don't know if I necessarily buy that Cthulhu could be infected.
The way I was thinking of doing it, it would be Cthulhu can be infected, but he knows so much that it would take, like, millennia for him to actually turn into an Adolia.
I guess my thought is I just assume that, like, his mind is not, like, resemblant of anything we recognize enough to be compatible.
That's fair. Also, they are fighting in an area that we can also reroll, because it's kind of a weird one. They're in the Judeo-Christian hell.
Yeah, no fucking clue how to deal with that one, because, also, for one thing, from the way you worded that, there's no such one thing. There's not even really one Christian hell. But, also, how'd you deal with, like, a place that already has that many, like, I don't know. I would agree on a reroll.
Yeah, that's fair. I will say the reason I put the Judeo-Christian hell in it is it was kind of a joke. There was a video I watched that was on, like, the worst homebrew on, like, Roll20. And one of them was, I think, like, a spell called, like... It wasn't called, like, Banished. It was, like, sent to the depths or something. And it was, like, you get tortured forever, and then you get sent to hell. Not... And then it specifies, not, like, the plains of hell. Actual Judeo-Christian hell. And so I thought that was funny.
That is great. You have to link me that.
Alright, this one is Polis from specifically the Vampire Survivors map.
I don't know about it.
So, long story short, Vampire Survivors...
I know that city in ancient Greek, but...
Basically, Vampire Survivors had an Among Us crossover. And they added Polis.
Is this a big enough place?
I'm assuming it's the whole planet. Not just, like, the small space station that we see. And this version of Polis does have a population of, like, weird shape-shifting Among Us guys. And also space ducks. There are also space ducks there.
Are they open for recruitment?
Uh,
Do we know if they're like super individualistic? Are we going to sort of project player behavior onto them and say they like to fuck around sometimes? Like,
yeah, I'd say. Well, what I think it is that because you don't play as any of the shapeshifters except for, I guess, the imposter character. I actually, yeah. So I guess I would treat them similarly to like humans in this case, where they're humans with weird shapeshifting abilities and who prefer the Among Us guy like character. That's how I would sort of do it.
okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Here's the thumbnail image for it that I'll post in the group chat. Here you go.
Why is there the Among trash can?
That's one of the shapeshifters. And anyway, this is a really weird one. I think Cthulhu really... So, the way Vampire Survivors works, it's a bit like Dynasty Warriors, where, like, you have an army sort of surrounding you at pretty much all times. I'm not sure how any of the, like, Cthulhu spawn would deal with that. But I also...
I assume that that's a thing that's happening contextually, not to everyone all of the time.
That's fair. Well, I mean, I assume it's with, like, if it's a thing that's different that's popping up. Actually, though, the thing Alright, with that in mind, though, I do think that Adolia has a good chance. Because, you know, if any do attack her, or attack any of her instances, they see that instance, they have a chance of getting infected.
Yeah.
And it sort of becomes like a...
I'm assuming this wouldn't apply to, like, outright, like, mindless shambling undead or whatever, but...
It probably wouldn't, but I think it would apply to, like, the shapeshifters.
True.
But again, if anything isn't, like, the barometer I'm using is if anything is sentient, then it can be infected, otherwise it can't be. Or if it has, like, a weird mind like Cthulhu. Although, actually...
So far.
I'm thinking about it more, though. I think Cthulhu could definitely manipulate the shapeshifters.
Definitely, as can any person.
Yeah. So yeah.
Okay, so okay. Let's think about this a different way.
Okay.
Rather than one is trying to stomp out the other.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say that Adorna will generally try to spread, but broadly, we're talking about two beings that are relatively content to let each sort of take their piece of the world where they want it.
Okay.
Which is how this is generally depicted as working in the Cthulhu mythos, from my knowledge.
All right, that makes sense.
Which overall is this world less happy to have?
I would say, I guess it really depends, because, like, Adolia, the concept of an Adolia is fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
And especially with that in mind, if it goes on for long enough, she will definitely infect more people. But the people she infects are kind of mindless. Like, they're just kind of soldiers of her.
I think when you kind of look at it that way, you have when you kind of look at it that way, you have one guy who's in practice basically like a Sauron, and then you have Adolia as a whole other thing. So
yeah. I'm gonna let you pick this one. Honestly, I'm torn. I have no clue which one I would pick.
I'll give it to Adolia, I think.
All right, that's I'm inclined to
again, as like assuming that it's working the way I laid out, where both coexist and will even sort of limit themselves to not cause too much direct conflict with the other.
Yeah.
I still think so.
I think,
unless they feel they already have significant enough advantage anyway.
Yeah. I definitely do think that I do agree, at least for this fight, that's probably something that Cthulhu would like try to broker. So yeah. Next up is the things that were fear versus Golb.
I mean, well, I'm gonna be honest. It's probably interesting enough. I don't know. Doesn't Gold have like a childlike mind, kind of?
I think it's just kind of like. No, I wouldn't say that. It looks like sort of like a baby, but I don't think it has I don't think it's mentioned, at least, that it has a childish mind.
Okay. So the thing is, again, there's nothing's afraid if everything's dead.
I will say,
but then again, and like if things are rapidly being kind of incidentally destroyed, sure, some of them like that, but it also doesn't give many of them room to do much. And we're judging by like influence here, so.
Well, let me tell you the stage I rolled, which is number 31, which is Cybertron.
Oh, and one of them works in ways that are completely relative to those it's affecting, and the other one works by way of big murder monsters, almost exclusively. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Honestly, I think the stage gives it to the things that were fear.
Yeah. Because again, like it will always be relative. To like what those people are afraid of, the way these things will manifest.
Meanwhile, Golb is a giant murder machine that, notably, I don't think it works on inorganic material. Like, I don't
even
think
if it did. Even if it did, I you know.
Yeah. Are we unanimously agreeing it's the things that were fear?
This time around, yes.
All right. Next up is Cthulhu versus the Cicada God.
Oh boy.
I do want to.
A lot of these old Lovecraft guys do work a lot of the time through ritual.
Hey guys, we got another commenter. Loomy.
Oh.
Hey there. You know them or no?
I don't. But hey there, Loomy. How's it going?
Hello there. I've been clicking around YouTube trying to find new music and stumbled upon this streaming lol. What am I watching?
I don't know. Neuroses mostly.
We're
basic.
We're basically.
If you're still there, Loomy. Basically, this is I guess a tournament of elder gods.
Yeah, basically, which of these various characters could win at, I guess, being an evil elder god.
Yeah,
or not necessarily evil, but like messing up the most stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Influencing a world in which there's exactly one other.
Yeah. And we sort of discuss who would be better at all of those things.
I hope you're still there. It'd be interesting to have someone who just stumbled upon this. So
yeah, no, I'm a fan of it. Anyway, we like the last one we got Cybertron. This one it's Cthulhu versus Cicada God, and what did I roll? I rolled 4, which is Tatooine.
Oh man, the ocean god just landed on a fucking desert. Okay.
Yeah, that's I mean, there's probably
it's not great. Like again, like his various like minions are ultimately physical, and most of them are explicitly aquatic or semi-aquatic.
Yeah, that's. I think that I think that just the stage gives that to the Cicada.
Yeah. Oh well. Oh Jesus.
What?
It's not even a particularly good stage for Cicada God either, because so much of it is unpopulated. But it's just no.
Yeah, no. I think everything that Cthulhu does would just it wouldn't like not work, but like all the physical stuff would just dry up immediately.
Yeah, like just very limited ability to do your thing here.
Yeah. And also the Cicada God has like the Jedi stuff.
That's not gonna be not much of that's gonna be on Tatooine.
That's fair. I'm sure there'd be people who like believe in the Jedi stuff though, and it's considered a religion in universe.
Yeah, I don't know if like I assume you need enough for it to hit a real critical mass though. So
That's fair. So yeah, goodbye Cthulhu. You are you will not be
No,
missed.
not Cthulhu.
dried up like a fucking like I don't want to get one of those images because it's ultimately like a dead animal, but it's like a one of those dried up squids. Like
It's a fucking like dried up piece of calamari.
yeah.
All right, next up is Golb versus Caliber. I think this one's gonna be a really interesting one.
Okay, yeah, the two real physical ones.
We got number 39, which is the Ghostbusters universe.
Zod. I'm gonna assume Zod has been cleared. Not Zod. What's the fucking?
I think
one
it's
called?
Zool.
Zool. No, Zool's one of the gatekeepers. I'm thinking of Gozer, aren't I?
Yeah, you are thinking.
Gozer.
You are thinking of Gozer. You're right.
Zool is one of the gatekeepers.
You're right.
But anyway.
Yeah. Gozer's just gone. He's
we're
vanquished.
gonna assume they're gone, kicked out. Fucking
They're in the
rental
painting.
space, fucking living space occupied.
Yeah, they're in the painting.
But ghosts still do abound.
Yeah, exactly. So here's the thing. So a big part of Caliber is again guns, and specifically the Gungeon as like a location. The Gungeon has a proton pack from Ghostbusters.
Oh, hell yeah.
Lamau.
LMAO.
Yes.
I just wanted to mention.
I don't think that decides it in and of itself.
Neither do I. I just wanted to comment on it because it would mean that if any of the ghosts get in the way of Caliber's stuff, she can deal with them. Meanwhile,
we've got two relatively physical beings here, at least in the way they work.
Yeah, no, that being said, I actually do think... So here's one other thing I wanted to mention about Caliber that I didn't get the chance to mention earlier. The two, like... How do I word this? The two, like, Gun Reapers and Lord of the Jammed cannot be killed. So that's a thing as well.
Okay.
They cannot be destroyed. They just kind of go away at the end of the room.
Someone named Dash1 said, "Did I walk into a ritual?"
Sure. Yeah.
You will.
That's
we're
funny.
saving that. We're saving that for the end. Right now, we're kind of going through our candidates.
I'm wondering, are people because the first person there, or Lumi there, found us randomly through searching music. I wonder if the same person had this happen.
That would be really interesting, actually. I got rid of all the music tags too, which is like really weird.
Oh, okay, huh.
But I mean, hey guys, welcome to the stream.
Yes, hello.
Yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. I apologize for our slightly dry delivery, but that's just how we be sometimes. Anyway. But yeah, so, I think that Golb... sorry, Roman, were you saying something?
No.
Alright. But yeah, so, again, I also think that the Ghost would probably be more against Golb than Caliber, just for the fact that, like, Golb is actually, like, physically there.
I think that ghosts generally... I think most of them aren't a problem if you don't go looking for a problem.
That's fair, actually.
At the very least, they localize themselves pretty often, under normal circumstances.
Yeah. I mean, unless you go by the video game's lore, but the video game was weird. But yeah,
Someone, or Dash1 said again, they still don't know what they're listening to.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Basically, we are discussing which of these Elder Gods could cause the most damage in certain areas. Right now, it's Golb and Caliber in the Ghostbusters universe.
And yeah, the areas thing is a turnover is sort of a holdover from our significantly more normal tournaments, which we just find very funny.
Yeah.
So we're doing it here, even though it's bizarre.
Also, we still appreciate you sticking around, even though you have no idea what's going on.
Yes.
No, it's strange. It's like a weird little bit of like thing that Claire and I and a couple other people find funny.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I also
yeah.
just do it because I think it is a very big game changer in a lot of fights. I think it's a factor that is important. Anyway.
I mean, like the whole doing these sorts of tournaments generally.
Oh, yeah. No, the tournaments, yeah. I don't know. I fell in love with them after the old days. So,
Yeah.
Anyway.
Everyone has a weird persona, says Dash One. Yes, indeed.
That is 100% fair. But yeah, out of these two, I really do think Caliber probably takes it because it's sort of the normal world just with ghosts. And
and we're dealing with like a already not insignificant amount of firearms in existence too. Now that you mention it.
Yeah,
Okay.
And especially, yeah.
I
also
this is the matchup I probably have like the least opinion on. So.
Well, I also definitely think that there's just more like artifacts that Caliber could like fuck with and turn into guns.
It's true. Very true.
So
Turns everything into a gun.
I am sort of leaning towards Caliber, mainly just because it's clear that Golb, none of us are too interested in Golb.
Yeah.
So he
had a fucking great run considering.
Yeah, I'm shocked. He had really good matchups with two very like metaphorical gods.
Nice.
But he's just gone.
Knocked fucking fear and hunger out of the bracket.
Sorry. Also, Dash One, if you don't mind telling us how you stumbled across this stream.
Yeah, I'm also a little
We'd be
curious.
interested.
No pressure, it's just,
Yeah, of course.
We're just kind of wondering how people are finding this because it's so, like, it's a pretty niche little program.
Yeah, I mean, YouTube has been just randomly recommending, like, small 10
that is true. I've been, like, being thrown weird shit for a bit
Yeah,
now.
also same, which is good.
Yeah, no,
weird but good.
It's awesome.
I am happy that smaller people are getting more recognition because
it is good, except when I get like randomly shown what's clearly like the middle of an ongoing trauma for some community I didn't know existed.
Okay, yeah, they're also great recommendations. Awesome.
Yeah, all right, hell yeah. Yeah, no, I'm.
Hope you. Yeah. Hope you're enjoying the stream. Usually I'm a bit more talkative, but not feeling. I'm kind of mid right now.
That's fair. Well, we're almost done. We have like 5 more fights max. So the next fight is Caliber versus the Cicada God. Immediate.
I don't know. Caliber seems fairly ritually inclined, and it seems like I don't know. It seems like there's only so much you can do about this through violence.
Yeah, I mean, so I just rolled their stage, and they're in the infinite IKEA.
Which
so many MYTHOS.
That's great. It is technically possible then.
Yeah, no.
Oh man. Okay, that's so many guns. So many like potential guns you can get.
Realizing.
But I could.
Dash One also says, "I'm realizing that I'm interested in conversations I don't know." Happens.
Well,
you could very theoretically arm yourself with a blowhigh.
Absolutely, you could. That'd be awesome. But also, yeah, no, Dash One. That is very fair. I'm very glad to hear that.
Sometimes I'll just listen. Sometimes I'll just like be listening to people talk without really registering.
Mood.
And I'll just be like, and like I won't like be bored even. I don't know.
But anyway, I think I think here, yeah, Caliber probably takes it because again, as you said, it's a fucking IKEA. You could grab a fucking anything.
There's more stuff than people, really. There's people around.
Yeah, and there's also those like weird entities, but I don't think they're very religious.
I think they're very neutral in all this.
They just kind of hang out. Yeah, no, Also, yeah,
if you wanted to like destroy those of any other faith, it'd probably be difficult to find them, if anything. but
yeah,
it
no,
also means that there's not like exactly a critical mass to be hit here. I don't think.
yeah. Again, I think we can all agree that Caliber wins. Also, Dash1 just said same. I'll just listen to the conversation. So, hey.
Yeah, I'm looking at the comments if you want me to keep track. They could
You're welcome
focus
to.
on that.
I'm also glancing at them.
All right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if you want to talk, considering they're new here, I mean, if you want to talk about what you do, what else you do on this channel.
Oh yeah, I also occasionally do gaming stuff. I also was doing a Lost Wave tier list thing, but that sort of fell through. Unfortunately, the third part of that's probably not coming out.
Also, like, is this part of, like, you have that series Claire's Fury, right?
Yeah, this is a
it's
Claire's
where
Fury.
you have, oh, sorry, go ahead.
This is a Claire's Fury.
Yeah, it's a Claire's Fury where you
Yeah,
basically have similar characters fight each other, I guess, and, like, today's theme is the Elder Gods, of course, so...
It's a joke power scaling series, except when it's not a joke.
Well,
yeah,
that was the case with the old series. This one I take a little bit more... The way I do it, it's... Here's a weird concept. Wouldn't it be interesting if this concept fought?
yeah, basically.
Yeah, but I tend to try to take it straight. So
also, let's see. Before, you also did the Lost Wave tier list there. I wonder if because people are finding this because the recommendations for you do a lot of the music stuff, don't you? I'm thinking maybe people are finding us through the music recommendations.
That would be cool. I'd actually be totally down with that. Hell yeah.
Yay.
I don't know. We'll see what happens. Anyway,
yeah.
Next fight is Adolia versus the things that were fear.
I guess roll stage. I don't know. I'm getting a bit dizzy thinking about it.
Yeah, this one's gonna be very wild. I keep getting number 4, and I keep having to re-roll it because we already did that one. Alright, Infectinator, which is a big zombie apocalypse thing.
Okay, they say they didn't find us through music recommendations, just random recommendations, I guess.
That's fair. The other guy said music recommendations, so we assumed. But...
Okay, yeah, so we were just kind of shooting the dark, but at least we're getting recommended, so that's...
I hate to ask for a reroll. Can we get something with a little less, I guess, noise?
That's fair.
This is a zombie apocalypse. I just went flat world. I want
to... Alright, how about a world box world? I don't think you can get more flat than that.
Yeah.
Flat Earthers intensify.
So... Hang on. Here's what I will do. I will boot up Worldbox real quick.
Oh.
And I will make a random world, and that'll be the stage. Scrolling through your I was just scrolling. The recommendations is interesting. Yeah, no, I've even my grandfather's gotten a recommendation for one of my videos, actually.
Oh, nice.
Well, that's probably not random. It's probably creepy invasive stuff, but
it's also, it could be just because he's subscribed to my channel, but
oh yeah, there's that too.
Well, that would do it.
Alright, yeah, just give Worldbox a second to load. I will load that up. I will also mute it because I do not I don't want the music to bleed through. Hang on. One second. There we go. Master audio gone. All right, and then you guys can't see this behind the scenes stuff. But what I will do: create new world, continent, iceberg size, random biomes, mountain edges. Scroll through really quick. Yep, create. We'll also assume that all of these are populated by 4 tribes on the 4 corners of the map.
Okay.
Each of the 4 different races, which are elves, dwarves, orcs, and humans. Alright. 1 second. I'm gonna snipping tool it. This will take only 1 more second. Delay 4 seconds. Alright. I'll post it for the group. And then... Yeah, this is the map.
Okay. So
And
Yeah.
this is a
Dashwood
very-
is asking, is this some battle simulation ranking leaderboard?
Wait, which one?
Dash1 is asking, is this some battle simulation ranking leaderboard?
Oh,
I don't
yes.
quite know what you.
They're talking about challenge, I think. Also,
Yeah.
this is the stage. But yeah, no.
Okay. So we're talking about not super advanced civilization here.
Yeah, no. They start off basically like caveman era.
Okay. I guess I'll assume they're a little beyond that by now because it was kind of a non-starter. But
Yeah. So yeah.
No. Flesh requires the flesh as a fear requires the mass existence of like factory farming and the like. So not a thing. And extinction requires humanity to be able to wipe itself out. So neither of those. Nothing matters, but neither of those.
I am also going to show off the different fears, like the table you sent earlier, just so the new people can see what each form of the fear is.
You can post the fucking color wheel as well if you want to clarify it.
That is what I am. That's what I meant.
Oh yeah, it has a color wheel. It's color coded.
I think out of all of these,
it's because that's the metaphor that's used like when this is all laid out of like I'm trying to remember the exact quote. It's like how do you differentiate colors like that one's more amethyst, that one's more lilac, but they're both purple. Some of it's arbitrary. Why is pink different from red? But we think of blue and indigo as different or whatever. I don't know. Whole thing.
I think. Is there any here? I guess the spiral would probably fucking love Adolia.
None of that. None of them really quite fit into one.
Mm-hmm.
The spiral specifically, where it manifests, tends to. Let me give you an example. Probably my favorite episode of Archives. Upon the Stair is a story about a woman who doesn't encounter a man who is not on her stairway, and he is. And it talks about how he isn't there, and he isn't there, and she cannot feel how he isn't there, and slowly she doesn't become not there. Like that's the kind of like mindfucky shit we're talking about.
Okay.
Right? Like that's how the spiral tends to manifest.
All right. That's
like it's like if you want a more basic form, it's man, that door that wasn't there before opens to a hallway that is too long for this building. Like that's a more simple way to think of it, I guess.
Right. Yeah. Then in that case, I don't think there are any of these that would really fit the type of fear that Adolia does.
Huh.
Yeah. Not in specific, but that's normal. Plenty of them are somewhere in the middle, but that's fine.
Yeah. So,
also, Mom made dinner and I'm gonna eat quick, so BRB, hopefully.
Sounds good.
This is mostly gonna be us, I think. These are our babies, so.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Let's,
So here's...
I think that, like, since Adolia's thing is that she subsumes the consciousness into herself, I am perfectly, like, prepared to say that I think she has she, like, might just win this.
Yeah. I think I'm inclined to agree. Because, yeah.
Okay, and to be fair, you said it doesn't work on animals. Animal fear does still feed sort of fear as a whole. So it would still exist, I guess, but
only to animals.
Yeah, so it's just like...
So the color-based... Dash1 says, so the colored board is related to each of these elder gods. No, it is specifically...
No, it's related to one of them, because they're all technically one thing.
Yeah.
The things that were fear, as we're calling it, which is currently dealing with a different one right now.
Yeah, no, the things that were fear, it's from the Magnus archives.
It is fear itself. It is technically one being, but with multiple aspects that don't always gel together. Yes.
I'll briefly explain what Adolia's deal is as well. They are basically a weird mind virus that if you encounter an instance of Adolia, then you have a chance of being infected. And slowly she sort of replaces all of your memories and the concepts that you know about until you only can think about Adolia. And also, she can do this with stuff like laws and history.
Yeah. I think that just because Adolia does what it does, that it kind of subsumes the consciousness, that I think that it wins out here.
Yeah, I'm inclined to... I was going to say that, but I wasn't really sure how to word it. But, you know, I just by Adolia's nature, she snuffs out all, like, fear and desire and everything, so...
Yeah.
She definitely wins out here. Next up is the things that were fear versus caliber.
I think that any follower of caliber is definitely hearing the Piper's tune, so let's that you wouldn't get that, but basically I don't, unless like they were making unless like Caliber had some kind of fucking metagaming knowledge and was making an effort to cause mass damage, I can't see it winning.
Especially with we rolled a bad stage for Caliber as well. So do you know the book The Fantastic Voyage?
Not intimately.
It's the one where it's where the concept of characters shrinking down and going to the human body comes from, or it's one of the many things that did that. The idea with this one is it would be as if everything was shrunk down, including the Elder Gods, and they are trying to take over a human body.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, meat is meat, so yeah, no.
Yeah, so I think I don't think we need to delve into that any further. Things that are fear just kind of wins. But now we're in an issue because now it's Adolia versus the things that were fear again.
I think Adolia just wins again.
Yeah, probably. Well, she could get.
I don't think stage particularly matters. Like,
I mean, if we get like I don't know, like a Tatooine or something. No, we got Namek.
Yeah. Luckily, both of these beings are basically apathetic to physical power. One of them is purely mental. The other is completely relative. So,
yeah, I think I think I'm just gonna.
Yeah, congratulations, Adolia. We now know which being to bring into the world.
Yeah, exactly. And it's double easy for us because all we have to do to bring her into the world is think about her.
Which, you know, I guess the game was rigged from the start.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, if I had a well, first off, I'm gonna click end the tournament so we can see the end of battle stats. The final results: Adolia won, then the things that were fear, then Caliber. Adolia went undefeated.
Yeah. I do think there were times it could have fallen short, but its scenes are powered from a certain perspective, but I don't.
You know, it's.
I'm gonna go to bat for it. This was a fair game.
Yeah, there were some stages where it would have definitely, like, if it had gotten the Fantastic Voyage stage, it would have just been fucked. But yeah. I guess, or would it? Because I guess it could infect the person that the body is.
I had no idea what was meant to be going on at that stage. If it was like an even slightly more nuanced map, I would have probably asked you to reroll it.
That's fair. That's fair. But yeah. Any final thoughts?
This Arcnhives is really good. People should listen to it. There's like a sequel series going on right now, airing right now. So that's fucking. What was the game that Adolia is like a mod for? That sounds really cool.
Shadows of the Forbidden Gods. The whole idea is that you basically play as the god that the fantasy RPG like has you try to stop. there are a ton of different ones. There's like the first one is She Who Will Feast, which is a giant snake. And it's a really cool game. There's a lot of like weird stuff that I'm not quite sure if I enjoy, but you would probably like as someone who's more into grand strategy games. A big part of the game is infiltrating cities and sort of slowly taking over the world by like through intrigue and political power.
I see.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I'll actually send you the Steam link.
I'll wishlist it, I guess.
Sounds good. I mean, hell, if you want, I could even buy it for you.
I don't know if because there's a good chance I like play it for 10 minutes and decide it's not for me, so I don't want to make you spend money on me for it.
That's fair. All right. Well, anyway, that's the end of the stream, I think. So, thank you very much, everyone, for showing up. I'm still very surprised that we even showed up on People's Recommended.
Yeah.
Again, thank y'all for coming, and we will see you next time. Cheers.